He's clearly the best player in the league. He's clearly having the best season of his career. I believe that SGA is the best perimeter player in the NBA. Anytime you're the best player in the league, you're supposed to be competing for a title. And the organization's supposed to do the necessary things and put the pieces around you so that you have the best chance to win a title. Now let's have a bigger conversation here. Are we sure that Nikola Jokić is the best player in the league?
Nikola Jokić, three-time MVP, NBA champion, and the heart of the Denver Nuggets. Yet despite his dominance, the NBA media seems to constantly downplay his greatness. From being called stat padding to being overlooked in MVP debates, Jokić doesn't always get the respect he deserves. But why? Why does the media continue to downplay one of the most unique and dominant players the league has ever seen? Today, we're diving deep into the real reasons behind the media's disrespect for Nikola Jokić. Let's get into it.
We so rarely get that type of look at Nikola Jokić. I really enjoyed that, but I also really hope that we can get Perk sprinting into our studio in
That's the
slow
same speed he
motion.
moves.
The unmarketable superstar. One of the biggest reasons the NBA media seems to downplay Nikola Jokić is simple. He doesn't fit the mold of a traditional superstar. The league thrives on marketable players, flashy scorers, high-flying dunkers, and players with larger-than-life personalities. Jokić? He's none of that. He doesn't have the charisma of LeBron James, the trash talk of Kevin Durant, or the social media presence of Stephen Curry. He doesn't chase the spotlight or engage in off-court drama that keeps media narratives alive. Instead, he plays basketball at an elite level, then goes home to his horses in Serbia. He's humble, soft-spoken, and uninterested in fame.
That's your defensive player of the year. I'm like, okay, yeah. So Jokić last night, he was 8 for 9 with Gobert as the primary defender.
For the NBA media, that's a problem. Sports media thrives on headlines, controversy, and star power. When a player like Jokić isn't generating clicks or fueling debates, he doesn't get the same media push as other superstars. The league's biggest broadcasters and analysts focus on drama and spectacle, things Jokić simply doesn't provide. Take the MVP race as an example. When Jokić was dominating the regular season in 2021 and 2022, many analysts downplayed his numbers. They called him a stat padder and insisted that his impact wasn't as great as it seemed. Meanwhile, other stars like Joel Embiid or Giannis Antetokounmpo were given more attention because they fit the traditional superstar image: dominant, emotional, and vocal. Jokic's quiet nature and lack of self-promotion make it easy for the media to overlook him. He doesn't give them viral sound bites or controversial takes. And in today's NBA, where social media presence and branding are almost as important as performance, Jokić remains an outlier. But does that mean he's any less dominant? Absolutely not. And that's what makes the media's treatment of him so frustrating. He's proving night after night that he's one of the best to ever do it. Yet he doesn't get the recognition he truly deserves.
He was reading every situation perfectly. And by the way, if you did defend him half decent down there, he was throwing these wraparound passes to Aaron Gordon for dunks. I mean, it was insane, the performance he put on. So that's the only place I'll cut Rudy Gobert a break in that. Man, this dude was on another level that night. Didn't matter who was out there. But to your point, Stephen A., it is fair.
The advanced stats. Bias. Another major reason why the NBA media disrespects Nikola Jokić is the way they view and discuss advanced stats. In today's game, analytics play a massive role in evaluating player performance, and Jokić dominates almost every statistical category. Yet instead of celebrating his numbers, many analysts and former players dismiss them as nerd stats or claim they don't tell the full story.
Perk, speaking of powerful, this may be Nikola Jokic's best year that we've ever seen. That's saying a lot for a three-time MVP, but the Nuggets, they haven't felt like the powerhouse maybe that they have in years past. Are the right pieces around Nikola?
Let's look at the facts. Jokić consistently ranks at the top of key metrics like PER, player efficiency rating, BPM, box plus minus, and VORP, value over replacement player. In fact, some of these metrics place him among the greatest players in NBA history. But instead of acknowledging his statistical dominance, critics argue that advanced stats don't capture a player's true impact on the game. This bias against analytics isn't new. Many former players and traditional analysts prefer the eye test over numbers, and since Jokić doesn't fit the mold of an athletic, high-flying superstar, they struggle to accept that he could be the best player in the league. You'll often hear arguments like, "He doesn't look dominant. His game is too slow. He's not as physically imposing as Shaq or as skilled as other big men." But those takes ignore what Jokić actually does on the court. His ability to control the game, his vision as a passer, his efficiency as a scorer. These are all elite traits that translate directly to winning. The Nuggets don't just rely on Jokic's stats, they rely on his impact. And that impact is clear every time he steps on the floor. The irony? Many of the same media members who criticized Jokic's dominance through stats are the same ones who used advanced metrics to push other narratives. When Stephen Curry revolutionized the game with three-point shooting, analytics backed up his greatness, and the media embraced it. When Giannis started putting up historic numbers, his stats were proof of his dominance. But with Jokić, there's hesitation, almost like people don't want to accept that he's this great. At the end of the day, Jokić isn't just an analytics darling, he's a winner. He proved it by leading the Nuggets to an NBA championship, and he continues to prove it every single night. The problem isn't the stats, it's the unwillingness of certain media figures to acknowledge what the numbers and the eye test are telling them. Nikola Jokić is one of the best to ever play the game. Another key reason why the NBA media continues to disrespect Nikola Jokić is that he plays for the Denver Nuggets, a team that doesn't have the media power or national spotlight of big-market franchises like the Los Angeles Lakers, Boston Celtics, or New York Knicks. In the NBA, market size plays a huge role in how much attention a player receives, and unfortunately, Denver has never been a media favorite destination. The reality is, the league and its media partners make more money when superstars play in major markets. When LeBron James plays for the Lakers, every move he makes is headline news. When Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving teamed up in Brooklyn, it dominated the airwaves. Even struggling teams like the Knicks get more media attention simply because they play in a big city. But Denver? Historically, the Nuggets haven't been a franchise that attracts media attention. Before Jokić, their biggest stars, Carmelo Anthony, Alex English, and even Dikembe Mutombo, never received the same level of national coverage as stars in bigger markets. And even after winning a championship, the Nuggets still find themselves playing in fewer primetime games compared to teams with lesser records but bigger media appeal. Just look at how the NBA schedules national TV games. During the 2023-24 season, the Lakers, despite being a lower-seeded team, had far more nationally televised games than the defending champion Nuggets. Why? Because star power in a big market generates ratings, and the media follows where the money goes. This lack of coverage directly affects the way Jokić is perceived. When he puts up a triple-double, it's often overshadowed by whatever drama is happening with the Lakers or Warriors. When he dominates in the playoffs, the narrative isn't about his greatness. It's about why another superstar lost. Even after leading the Nuggets to their first-ever NBA title in 2023, there was a noticeable lack of celebration compared to other championship teams. Instead of hyping up Denver's historic run, many media voices immediately shifted the conversation to the Lakers' off-season moves, or the future of other big-market teams. At this point, it's clear that playing in Denver has made Jokic's rise to superstardom harder than it should be. If he were putting up the same numbers in Los Angeles or New York, he'd be the face of the league. But since he's in a smaller market, the NBA media often downplays his impact and moves on to bigger, more marketable stories. But here's the thing. Greatness doesn't need a big market. Jokić has already proven that he's one of the most dominant players in the NBA, whether the media gives him his due credit or not. And with every win, every MVP performance, and every championship, he's making it harder and harder for the league to ignore him. Nikola Jokić is not just a great player, he's a generational talent. Yet despite his dominance, the NBA media continues to downplay his greatness. Whether it's because he doesn't fit the mold of a traditional superstar, the bias against advanced stats, or the fact that he plays in a small market, the disrespect is real. But here's the thing. Jokić doesn't need media hype. He lets his game do the talking. He's already an NBA champion, a multiple-time MVP, and one of the most unique players the league has ever seen. And as he continues to rack up wins and accolades, the media will eventually have no choice but to acknowledge his greatness. So whether they like it or not, Nikola Jokić isn't just one of the best players right now. He's on his way to being one of the greatest of all time, and no amount of media bias can change that.